our book was The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. Now this book is a bit crazy. So it starts out with a man named Arthur Dent and his friend Ford Prefect, and they live on Earth. And Arthur, it's a Thursday. Arthur's Thursdays are always off. He wakes up and he's hungover from this party that he went to. And he realizes that there's this big yellow dump truck that's come to mow down his house to make way for an interstate to go over his house. And so he's freaking out, he's trying to protest it, and he lays in front of the dump truck, and then Ford Prefect comes and says, Arthur, the world is ending, we gotta go. So they go down to the bar, and he says, okay, fine, whatever. And they go and drink some pints of beer right before the world ends, and Arthur's like, this is not true, is it? And Ford says, yeah, it's true. And so he starts to believe it, and he starts freaking out more about that. But then he realizes that his house is also getting run over with a dump truck, and he freaks out a little more about that than the end of the world, which is weird. And so now, Ford is, at this point in the book, revealing to Arthur that he is in fact not a human, he's an alien. And Arthur's mind kind of gets blown by this, but he also explains to him that not only is he an alien, he is something called a hitchhiker of the universe / the galaxy. And so he says, this is how we're going to get out of this planet Earth that's about to explode because of the Vogons, which are the people in the giant yellow ships. He says, alright, we're going to hitchhike. So he takes his thumb and he hitchhikes, and they hitchhike out of that piece right before the world ends. And somehow they hitchhike onto the Vogon ship, which is not good because the Vogons are probably the ugliest, most nastiest creatures in the universe, and everybody hates them. And if you get imprisoned on a Vogon ship, it's kind of over with. You know, you're probably not going to get out of there. They read poetry. They read their terrible poetry to you to torture you, and then they kill you. But because Ford is such a good hitchhiker, they get them out of that situation using something called The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which is what the book is based off of. It's named after that. The Hitchhiker's Guide is a book, or rather a tablet, that has all of the rules to the universe that the hitchhikers should follow, such as hitchhikers should always carry a towel. So Arthur and Ford both carry around towels with them everywhere they go because towels can almost ensure survival in the galaxy. So they manage to get out of their poetry slam of the Vogons, and they blast out of there, hitchhike out of there. So the Vogons, they say, Arthur and Ford, even though you've given us a pretty viable answer to our poetry and our questions and such, we're still gonna blast you out of space. So they put them in an airlock chamber that's about to blast them out into space, which they can live 30 seconds in like the vacuum of space on a full breath of air. And so Ford's like, you know, we're probably gonna die. Like everything I've tried to do is not working. We can't hitchhike out of here. So Ford says, yeah, we're about to die. It's been nice knowing you, Arthur. And so obviously they do what they can. They take their full lung full of breath. That made no sense. And they get blasted into space. And what do you know? In the 30 seconds they can survive, they get picked up by the Heart of Gold, an infinite improbability ship flown by none other than the president / ex-president of the galaxy, Zaphod Beeblebrox, and his little girl toy, Trillian. So they get on the ship and they're like, whoa, bro, what's happening? And then they realize where they are. They're on this infinite improbability ship. And then a robot comes into their door, and it says, Zaphod wants to see you. And Ford says, Zaphod? And he says, yes. Zaphod Beeblebrox. And Ford's like, Zaphod Beeblebrox. Alright, let's go. So they start to get to know this robot. This robot's name is Marvin. Okay, he's kind of a depressed little dude. Nobody really likes him. But every other computer on the ship also has these personality traits, like Marvin. But Marvin is the only one that's like severely depressed. All of the rest of them are like, oh my gosh, I opened my door. This is the best day of my life. Thank you for allowing me to do this. And Marvin's like, I hate them a lot. They're terrible. So they keep moving on, discovering more and more of these personality, human-like personality traits in the computers, and they're like, this is insane. And then they get to Zaphod. And Zaphod and Ford have a little reunion because little did we know, Zaphod and Ford are some sort of like semi-cousin. And they both descend from planet Beetlejuice. I think that's how you say that. And Trillian and Arthur see each other, and they're like, hi, I remember you. Little did we know that they had met at a party on Earth, and they kind of like, sparks were flying, they were hitting it off, right? So Zaphod and Trillian are on the ship. That was unnecessary. Arthur and Trillian knew each other. He knew her as Trisha McMillan from Earth at a party, and he was about to like snag himself a girlfriend, you know, cuffing season, when all of a sudden Zaphod pops out of here. I think his name was like Paul on Earth or something, steals up Trillian / Trisha, and leaves. And so Arthur already has this little hatred towards Zaphod because of that. And so there's a little bit of tension going on between him and Trillian and him and Zaphod. So basically, after all of them meet, have their little reunion, they say, all right, we need to find this impossible question / impossible answer. They need the question, though, because the answer is 42. So they go to this planet called Margrathia. They find out a bunch of stuff, including mice are the smartest creatures. Right under them is dolphins, and then humans, so that's kind of crazy. They also find out that Earth was the computer that tried to figure out the answer. No, that tried to figure out the question to the answer 42, but it failed. Got blown up by the Vogons 5 minutes before the 10 trillion year project was completed by the mice. And so they almost get killed on Margrathia, but they escape. They find out that there's an Earth Mark II, but that's not really necessary for the mice. The mice just need a human, and the only human left that was actually there when the Earth exploded, wow, is Arthur. So they take Arthur, and they say, all right, we need your help, Arthur. We need your brain. And he's like, okay, like, do you want me to answer a question? They're like, no, we want your brain. And so they try to steal his brain out of his head. And so that doesn't happen. They get out of there, all the guards are exploding, improbability factors of like nth to the nothingth, and they get out of there clean and easy. And so they get on the ship to go leave, and Arthur's checking out the Hitchhiker's Guide. And he finds this one part, and it talks about how people, something like this, people, like, they have this feeling. They have to figure out what it is. They figure out that that feeling is hunger. What am I going to do about that, they say? They figure out that they need to eat. So the third question is, where do I need to eat? Where do you want to go eat? So then the book ends by him finishing reading that, and Zaphod comes and says, hey, I'm kind of hungry. Where do you want to go eat? How about the restaurant at the end of the universe? End book 1, open book 2, the restaurant at the end of the universe. Thank you, I am Emma. Now, Douglas Adams, the wonderful writer of this book and 4 others in the trilogy, was an English writer, satirist, dramatist. He loved all that kind of stuff. He was born March 11th, 1952, and he died May 11th, 2001. He was basically batshit crazy. And no, he was not high when he wrote the book. So, yeah.
The first major theme in this book is absurdity. Absurdity occurs all over the book. From presidents with 2 heads to mice ruling over humans, there's nothing normal that occurs in the galaxy. Pretty much everything is backwards.
Let's go.
The second theme in this book is culture. Culture is presented to us in a variety of ways. From the babelfish with a biblical reference to meeting the president and thinking that he's a celebrity and he's not really famous for anything or for any political reforms just because he's the president and that's what presidents are. They're famous. Douglas Adams uses our culture in a variety of ways in his book and almost makes fun of it. The last major theme in this book is politics. In the book, politics is a huge mess. Nothing goes right, nothing goes the way that politics really should go in real life. Zaphod doesn't, in fact, really do anything. All he does is just distract all his people from the real power and the real people. And he doesn't even know who that real power is or who controls anything. He literally just distracts and just doesn't do anything. A major symbol in this book is the guide. The guide actually shows that nothing is what it seems to be, and you can't really take anything for truth or value. Everything in the guide is just full of misinformation and lies, and it's really just a lot of humor. And so it just shows that nothing in this world is what it seems to be or what it portrays itself as. You can't trust anything by the outside looks. The last major symbol in this book is the Vogons. The Vogons really just represent every single thing that is evil or chaotic because they are destruction and they destroy everything. That's literally what they're meant to do, is to just destroy. And that really kind of represents all the bad and the evil that's in our world as well.
Yellow. It's just this one simple word that means so much in this book. See, in the first chapter, Arthur's getting ready, he's getting ready for his day, and he looks in the mirror and he says his teeth are yellow. And he's walking around his house, he sees yellow things just everywhere. He looks outside, there's a yellow bulldozer. And while he's, sitting with Ford, yellow things come out of the sky. Yellow in this book means destruction. As, with the bulldozer and with the Vogons coming to destroy the earth. Funny. Just how you think life can't get any worse, it does. This is what Arthur's saying, and he's just trying to imply, as humans, we're having a bad day, and we're thinking things possibly can't get any worse, and then all of a sudden, they do. It's like with kids at school, too. We're trying to have a bad day, we're having a hard test, or just teachers getting mad at us, we're thinking this day possibly can't get any worse, and all of a sudden, boom, it gets worse. Just us as humans, we can't avoid things getting worse, even though we want to. It's times like this where I wish I listened to my mother. Why didn't you? I just didn't listen, I don't know why. That's what us humans do all the time. We think things just aren't as important as they really are, and it's talking like with our mothers. They just try to give us, little things of advice. We think, no, it's not that important, and later in life, we're like, oh crap, I should have listened when I had to listen and when I had the chance.